All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden world that powers our digital lives. We're going to trace the journey from the massive physical cables connecting entire continents all the way down to the simple commands that make the internet appear on your screen.
So here's what we've got on tap. We're going to start super big with the planet-spanning infrastructure. And then we're going to zoom all the way in to the commands you can actually type yourself. And by the end of this, you'll have a really solid picture of how it all actually works.
First up, let's just bust a huge misconception about how the internet connects everything. And spoiler alert, it's probably not what you think.
Okay, so think about this for a second. When you stream a video from a server that's halfway across the world, your first thought might be, oh, it's satellites, right? Beaming down from space. But the truth is actually way more down to Earth, and honestly, a whole lot faster. Yep, you heard that right. The real backbone of our entire global internet isn't floating up in space. Nope. It's this massive, incredible network of physical cables that are literally lying on the ocean floor. And these things, these fiber optic cables, they are the absolute superhighways for all our data. It turns out, sending information as little pulses of light through glass threads is just way, way quicker and more reliable than trying to beam it up to a satellite and then all the way back down again. Okay, so these giant undersea cables have to plug in somewhere, right? Well, they do. They lead to these massive buildings that are just packed to the gills with thousands and thousands of special computers. And these buildings are called data centers. You can think of them as the actual physical homes for the computers that store and spit out all the information you're accessing online. I'm talking every single website, every video, every email. It all lives here.
So what's inside a data center? Well, you've got servers. The analogy is perfect. Just like a waiter at a restaurant serves you food, a computer server's only job is to serve you information. And your phone, your laptop, that's the client asking for the meal. And, sticking with that restaurant analogy, just like you have different staff, chefs, hosts, waiters, you have different kinds of servers. Each one has a really specific job, whether it's handling web pages, running an application, or managing your email.
Okay, so this is a really important distinction to make, especially between web and application servers. A web server is pretty straightforward. It just sends you the static stuff. Things that don't change, like a company logo or a background image. But the application server, that's where the magic happens. It's the one doing all the heavy lifting. It runs the actual code for things like your personalized YouTube feed or a complex search query. It's creating dynamic content on the fly, just for you. So all of these servers, right? Every single one needs a brain, an operating system to function. And when it comes to the professional world, the world of servers, there is one clear, undisputed champion.
This is pretty wild. While you and I are probably using Windows or Mac OS on our laptops, a staggering 90% of the world's applications are actually running on an operating system called Linux.
So why? Why this huge difference between our personal computers and the pros? Well, it really just boils down to one word: reliability. Think about it. In a professional setting, you absolutely cannot have your critical server just decide, hey, it's time to update and restart, right in the middle of the busiest part of the day. And that right there gets to the very heart of why professionals choose Linux. The whole culture around Linux is built on what's called uptime. The goal is to never have to restart. It's also super secure, it's incredibly stable, and it gives the people running the systems total control. No forced updates, ever. And that is absolutely essential for keeping the internet up and running 24/7.
Okay, so what exactly makes Linux, well, Linux? Let's zoom in a little bit and look at the two most fundamental parts of the whole operating system.
Right at the absolute core of it all, you have something called the kernel. The best way to think about it is like the engine of a car. It's the core program that's in charge of everything. It manages all the system's resources and talks directly to the actual hardware, the CPU, the memory, all that good stuff. So here's the catch. We can't just talk to the kernel directly. It only speaks machine language, which is not something we can speak. That's where the shell comes in. The shell is basically our interpreter. It's the gateway that takes our normal, human-readable commands and translates them into something the kernel can actually understand and execute. And this is what I love about this. It just lays out that chain of command so clearly. You type something on your keyboard, it goes to the shell translates it for the kernel tells the actual hardware what to do, and then the result comes all the way back to you. It's a really beautiful, logical flow.
All right, enough theory. Let's actually put this into practice and see how you can use that command line shell to talk to a Linux system. Okay, so the very first thing you almost always need to know is, where am I right now? And for that, we have the pwd command. It stands for Present Working Directory, and it tells you exactly which folder or directory you're sitting in. Cool. Now that you know where you are, you can start making moves. Let's use mkdir, which is short for make directory, to create a brand new folder for, let's say, a new project. And to actually move into that new DevOps folder we just made, we use the cd command. That just stands for change directory. Simple as that. You'll usually see the prompt change to let you know you've moved. And finally, to see what's actually inside this new directory, you just type ls. This command just lists everything, all the files and folders in your current spot. And just like that, with a few super simple commands, you've learned how to get around and even change the file system, all from the command line. So, there you have it. We have gone on a journey from massive undersea fiber optic cables through data centers into the mind of a server and all the way down to the very commands you can type yourself. You now have a real foundational map of how the internet actually works, from its physical body to its digital brain. The only question left is, what are you going to build with it?